Welcome to Energy Work and Healing. I'm Tricia George, an energy healer and intuitive guide, here to help you reconnect with your body, your energy, and your truth. This podcast is all about blending spiritual integrity with practicality, offering grounded insights, energy tools, and real conversations to support your healing journey. Whether you're just beginning or deep into your process, you are in the right place. Let's dive into this together. Hi there, and welcome to the Energy Work and Healing Podcast. I'm Tricia George, and we have a special guest today, Lisa Madsen from Madsensational Sensations. And today, Lisa's going to be sharing with us her story and why she began a career in the healing arts. Hi, Lisa. How are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm doing great. It's a beautiful Sunday in New Mexico, having a wonderful Sunday morning, and happy to talk with you. So I'm curious, I know you're new to your business, but I'm wondering what drew you to your career in the healing arts.
Yeah, so I really it took me a while to get into the art of healing with energy and such, but when I when I had my own issues with women's health problems, PMS, I have a little bit of endometriosis going on. I really was looking for ways to heal that without having to do surgery or having to go on medications and birth control with all the side effects and such. And so I started my career to basically kind of help me heal a little bit. And then I absolutely loved it. And I branched out to helping my other female friends that struggle with any issues in the women's health category. So
Yeah, but most of us tend to dive into energy work, because we're working on something that we're dealing with in our own lives, right? And then it sort of becomes like an aha moment. It's like, oh my gosh, this is amazing, and you want to share it with so many people. You want to get the word out. So that's pretty great that you found it in your own way and are like actually helping friends, and people that you know. So that's supportive. That's great. That's great. And I'm just wondering if you can actually share maybe a pivotal moment that changed how you decided to work with healing, where you didn't want to go to that sort of Western side and you tried, like, what was your pivotal moment, right? Where you decided, like, you know what, I don't want to take these medications. I'm just going to dive right in and try something new.
my biggest thing was that I was on birth control for several years in high school. And so I started realizing the depression, the weight gain, and all those side effects that came along with that. And that was the biggest thing for me. I was like, I want something with no side effects that just aligns all of my energy and
Yeah.
helps me heal without all the side effects.
That's great. That's great. And then how do you desire to work with others? Like, is it only through the feminine energy that you're working with, or are you working with males and females, or tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so with my business, I specialize in women's health. So pregnant women, I'm a doula as well. And so I work with a lot of birthing women or postpartum women. But I offer my services to men as well. If they need their energy aligned or anything like that, then they can also come see me. But I tend to work a little more on the feminine energy side of things.
Yeah, that's great. And did you notice any sort of, I'm gonna call them like skeptics when you first started your path? Some people they think it's woo-woo energy and they're like, oh, I don't know if I want to touch this. I don't know if I want to do it. Did you notice any of that?
Yes. So actually, a lot of my family members were very skeptical of me doing my business and such. And it took me a while to get the courage to tell them how it did heal me and how it's okay if they're skeptical and that's okay for them. But for me, it works and it's lovely.
Yeah, that's great. It's hard sometimes when the people closest to us see a change. They don't know how to react because they're so used to us operating from a certain frequency or, pattern. And then when we try to transfer or shift our energy, they have some uncertainty there because they're like, something's different in Trisha or Lisa, and I can't quite put my finger on it, but something's changing, right? And they don't know how to deal with the change necessarily, and usually it's a change for good, right? Where we're actually supporting ourselves and others, which is a beautiful thing, So, kudos to you on that. And then what are your various modalities that you actually use in your practice?
Yeah, so my biggest two are Reiki. I use Reiki for just energy work, and then I often combine that with foot zoning, which is a little bit different than kind of the usual modalities you probably hear of. But in combination with Reiki, foot zoning works like 100 fold from what I've seen.
Okay. Can you dive
Yeah.
into foot zoning before? I've never heard of that. Can you dive into that a little bit?
Yeah, so with foot zoning, I use different pressure points on the foot in particular, and I activate it through acupressure or sometimes just a little bit of a massage. And basically, there's different points on your foot that are connected to different areas of your body. So, like certain toes are connected to certain organs, or certain areas are all interconnected with other parts of the body. And it just
Okay.
helps your body heal. And then in combination with Reiki, it allows your all your chakras to be aligned, and also all of your bodily organs and functions to also be aligned with that. So yeah,
That's great. That's great. And how long does a session usually last? Like if you're doing, say, Reiki and foot zoning, is it half hour? Is it an hour? What's your typical?
my typical session lasts usually between 50 minutes and an hour. Sometimes it goes longer and sometimes it's shorter. It just kind of depends on what the energy feels like for one
Okay.
particular person.
Okay. And then have you ever had anyone sort of on your table that actually was a total skeptic, right? They're like, oh, I don't know if this is going to work. And you're just like, hey, give it a try, and did they notice a shift after that?
Yes, I actually had a person come in for some fertility work, and they were like, I just want to have a baby. I don't know how I'm going to do it." And I was like, "Okay, let's try some energy balancing and just see where we can kind of shift your energy, and where we can how we can shift your energy to support your womb and get you pregnant." Yeah,
Yeah.
basically.
Yeah. Of
Um,
course.
and they came in and they're like, okay, I don't know if it's going to work. And it took a few sessions to break through that in the first place, the skeptical energy and all that, to get to the actual healing and the actual shifting of that energy to the womb. And it took probably 6 or 7 sessions, and then
Oh
they were
boy.
able to get pregnant. And it was really, really cool to watch.
That's great. Do you notice like a lot of individuals, like for my clients, I know clients that are trying to have a baby or conceive, they have so much stress in their space, right? Like anxiety
Yes.
and stress. And I'm always trying to share with them, it's hard to manifest from that state because you're almost in a state of lack, right? Where you're not
Oh, yeah.
really giving 100% faith sort of to creator or source energy in order to procreate this being. Do you
Yep.
find that?
I find that a lot with my clients, especially
Yeah.
because they're already coming out of a place of depression and grief because
Yeah.
they're unable to conceive. And so you kind of have to break through that first in order to get anything done.
Yes, of course, of course, of course. So really, you tend to do it on a table, is that correct? Can you walk
Yep.
us through a session?
Yes. So usually I have my clients sit down with me. I have a little office space in my house. That's where I'm at right now. And we kind of just talk through what they're feeling. I often use aromatherapy with my sessions as kind of just an add on. And so anything that they tell me, I take note of and see what oils I have that can specifically help them, and also just how I can best align my energy with theirs. And then I have them lay down on my table. They can get as undressed as they need to or want to, because sometimes that helps them feel my energy a little bit better.
Yeah.
Or most of the time, I just have them just lay down. Um, and then we we go over different areas of their body. I kind of give them a moment with each chakra to kind of just align and feel that energy and power. And then the Reiki session starts, and I'm very silent. It's very difficult to be talking and working with energy at the same time.
Of course. Yeah.
And then at the end, if it's also a foot zoning session, I'll reach down and get into the feet and do some massage and acupressure techniques there. And then it's kind of just a big like moment at the end where I let them feel that energy around them, whatever it is, if it's the loving energy, if it's that calming or feminine energy, anything like that. I give
Yeah.
them a moment to let that encircle them at the end of the session as well.
That's great. Do you notice patterns with your customers, with your clients? Do you find that at all?
I I notice a lot. So usually, especially with the first couple sessions, it goes from a super anxious energy, maybe even a stressed energy, and then a couple sessions in, that energy just always decreases slowly over time. And it's amazing to see how that has so much power over anything that they do.
Yeah, yeah, because it sort of reconnects them to their body. Because wouldn't you say, like, most of your clients are sort of disconnected from themselves, um,
Oh, yes.
before they come to you?
Yes, yes, yes.
Yeah. It's like when that's what I love to see with my, clients in my sessions, like, where they actually are like, "Oh my gosh, I noticed a huge difference, I noticed a shift," and it's, like, such a rewarding, sort of beautiful experience to watch them transition, and I'm sure it's the same for you as well.
Oh, yes. It's
Yeah,
such a beautiful thing to watch.
yeah, yeah. And then how do you deal like, one of the tough things for me, like, when I'm dealing with clients with trauma, like, I try not to touch the trauma. I always tell them I'm very sensitive to that because my perception is you don't actually have to, like, relive that trauma in
Hmm.
order to heal it, so I use a timeline, so I always work on the left side of the body, and I'm, sort of tapping into a timeline sort of thing. But how do you, see the trauma and how it works within their energy field while you're doing the sessions?
Yeah, so I I frequently work with trauma patients. I am certified in trauma informed care, and so I tend to do that same thing where, especially for the first couple sessions, we don't
Yeah,
touch the trauma. We just work with the time before and the time after. And then sometimes I tap a little bit into the trauma and see if we can make it lay a little flatter, if that makes sense. Just kind of
sure.
let it have a build up, but allow it time to just flatten out. And I have seen a lot of patients that love that feeling where it's
Yeah.
still there, we're letting it be there, but we're not letting it be this huge ball of something.
Yeah, of course. I refer to like the base of a river, right? Like the water's on top of the river, that's your energy, and that trauma can kind of settle at the bottom, where the stones are and the soil, and sort of the energy can wash on top of it to sort of allow it to have it there. Yes, it occurred to you, but you can let yourself move through it and not hold
Yeah,
on to it. Yeah, yeah,
I
that's
love
great.
that.
Yeah. I
I
love
might use
using
that in my future sessions.
Totally. I love using earth analogies because we really are connected to the earth. So all the elements really integrate, which is a beautiful thing. So,
Mhm.
and keeping confidentiality in mind, is there a transformation that you can share with us when you worked on a particular client that really stands out in your mind?
Yes. So specifically, one of my trauma patients came to me with sexual trauma, and
Oh,
that is a really hard subject to even talk about. It's so
yeah.
taboo for them, and
Yeah.
it was hard, and it was actually a transformation for me too, because I also have a little bit of sexual trauma in my life.
Sure.
And so it was kind of just this healing together moment. And it felt really powerful to watch their energy align and shift and
Yeah.
all be where it needed to be.
Yeah, yeah, especially in that field. I mean, in that specific subject, it happens to so many women, but the thing I notice is that they actually let it define them. You know,
Hmm.
and where it's just I always tell my clients or my, in my sessions, it's like you're having an experience, like why label it positive or negative, right? Yes, it's something that we didn't really want to experience,
Hmm.
but it did happen. But why do we want to hold that for the rest of our incarnation? How can you just like heal that or process it or acknowledge it and let it go and sort of let it be a rock in the river, right? Where the
Yep.
water's still going over it. It's a little heavier than typical, day-to-day traumas with people, but it's a rock, right? It's just something that's there, but we just want to be able to heal it by letting our energy sort of flow on top of it, which I love. So
Yep.
now I am a chakra nut. Like, so I love the chakra or the heart line. Those are my like specialties and I love them. And then I was curious how you see the chakra system with spiritual and emotional health. Like, how do you see it like engaging with us while we're doing our work?
Oh my goodness. I see it all the time. I have stones that are specific to each chakra that I use.
Okay.
And I notice each chakra just kind of brings its own energy, if that makes sense.
Yep.
They all align, and they kind of add up and kind of control the way our body stores stress, or the way our body stores that trauma or anything like that. And so I like to tap into each one individually and kind of go over, well, okay, this one is carrying depression today. Is there something we can do specifically for that to kind of align it with the rest? And it's
Yeah.
very interesting to watch that shift.
Yeah, once they start flowing in unison, it's really a beautiful experience. I don't know, it's like that's why I love it. It's like a set of Christmas lights for me. I'm like, ding, 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 and it's just like alignment instantly, and it's really a beautiful thing to witness, as a practitioner. So, and then what
Yes.
about the auric field? I think Reiki works with the auric field. I mean, everyone thinks I do Reiki. I'm like, I rake the chakras, but I don't necessarily do Reiki. So, can you explain like how the auric field and Reiki come hand in hand?
Yes. So with Reiki, I do work with chakras a lot. Um, but with the aura field, really it becomes less cloudy as the chakras align. And then it helps me to see the energy more clearly, which is why I often recommend more than one session for my clients,
Okay.
especially if they have a lot that they're bringing into their sessions.
Okay. Do you offer packages or do you just offer single sessions? Like, how does that work in your business side?
So for my business, I right now my only package offerings are for my pregnant patients, because I'm
Okay.
on call for their labor and delivery as well. So for most other people, I offer just individual sessions, and then we kind of go over each individual need and whether or not I recommend another session for them. Because it's
Sure.
also like, especially they want like a initial consultation just to see if it works, even for
Of
them.
course.
So.
Of course, of course. I know there's a lot of people like they're trying to figure out their way or their path. So they're testing the waters a little bit for
Mhm.
sure. So now how do you, like I know I engage with, I probably do no more than 4 clients a day on most days. So I try not to go beyond that. But how do you practice your sort of spiritual hygiene, right? We take care of our bodies and everything, but how do you handle your spiritual hygiene?
I personally like to block out a little bit of time between my sessions to kind of
Okay. Yep.
balance myself again and to separate my energy from the energy that I was just working with. So I take a minute to kind of balance myself between each session. And I usually see about 4 people a day as well. That's about my limit. And at
Yeah.
the end of each day, I kind of, something that helps me personally is just writing down what I noticed in me throughout the day, and then kind of allowing myself to put it out there into the energy space around me, but not let it inside.
Course. Yes. No, absolutely. Yeah, it's I mean, hygiene is really important, and it's great to clean out between clients. I like the 4 because it's like I'm not giving away too much of my energy. I still have time
Mhm.
for my day, and then I'm still supporting others in a way that I could be of service to them without, any stressors or experiences of my own integrating within the sessions. So that's fantastic to know. And then do you for me, I know my modality, and I share it with a lot of my clients because I give tons of homework. That's my one thing I drive my clients crazy with. But do you have any sort of protections that you put in your place? Because you're meshing with other people's auric fields all the time and energy bodies.
Yeah, so I frequently try and block out my own, and like, if that makes sense, I try and keep my aura out of their aura so we're not mixing all the time, because that
Yeah.
just clouds up the space and makes it way harder to work with just them. So I frequently kind of do this internal meditation during my sessions where I'm specifically just thinking about their energy and how we can clear it up and align their chakras and such.
Okay. Do you ever find though that you maybe you didn't like have your protection fully there or felt like sort of a burnout in a day working with clients? Like there's some clients I'm sure that take a lot more of your energy, than others, for example.
Yes. So like when I was talking about my sexual trauma client earlier, especially those first few sessions, I thought, "Oh yeah, I'll see her and then I'll see my next client later," or and I actually we had to stop mid-session and I just said, "Hey, look, I
Yeah.
will not be able to finish out the session and be able to heal you today. So
Yeah.
let's have you come in tomorrow once I'm all cleared up and then try again."
Yeah.
Because mid session, you start realizing that your energy is actually bringing their energy down or
Yeah.
colliding and not really doing that well. And I think that's something that every client should be warned of coming into a session, just
Yeah.
making sure that sometimes I'm just gonna have to kick him out that day and work with
Yeah.
them
Yeah.
another time.
Yeah, of course, of course. No, absolutely. Because we end up sort of matching pictures with everyone. I always tell people we have this like these mirror neurons, right? And the best place to see that's when we're driving a car on the freeway, where someone speeds up and then all of a sudden we're speeding up to match their energy, right? So
Hmm.
we're doing this mirror neuron, and it does happen on occasion with energy workers. But for myself, I've been doing this for like 22 years, not as a career, but in my whole life, right? It's been my entire life experience, but 22 years solid, I would say. But you learn how to create separations for yourself. That's why I was asking, like, how do you protect your space? Like, because I use tools that help me keep my energy separate from someone else. Because sometimes their pain can be very um, physical in our space, if that
Oh,
makes
yes.
sense. Yeah, so it gets very emotional. I've cried a few times. I don't know if you've had that experience, but I've
I
definitely
definitely
wept.
tear up.
Yeah. I've definitely wept a few times. I'm like, "Oh boy, here we go. Here comes the roller coaster." So, but
Yeah.
yeah, but it's beautiful coming out towards the end of the roller coaster though. After you go through all those loops and everything, it's just like nice and even and smooth. So
Oh,
that's
yes.
fantastic. And then how do you, like for myself, I use intuition, but how do you, or what tools do you use primarily? Are you using intuition when you're doing Reiki and the foot, I forget what you called it. Sounds so interesting.
Foot zoning, yes.
Yeah, foot zoning. It sounds so interesting.
I love it. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
I am a very intuitive soul, and so I
Okay.
do tap into my intuition and kind of you can kind of feel what you're doing and how it's affecting them. And
Yeah.
so I kind of go with the flow, if that makes sense, as we go. And then also, I do a little session with them at the beginning where we talk about what they want to work on as well, just so I have somewhere to kind of spring off of as well.
Sure. Sure, sure, sure. And then how do you define like your healing in a spiritual perspective?
Oh goodness. In a spiritual
I know.
perspective for me,
Yeah.
we love this question. It's wonderful. just if you've ever experienced it yourself, I'm sure you have, where if your spirit is misaligned at all, then it's almost like emotional and physical healing can't even occur in general.
Yeah.
And so it's like you have to prioritize your spiritual health and realign every now and then and always make sure that you are doing that so that you can heal in other aspects. And
Yeah.
that's kind of
Yeah.
what I've noticed for myself.
Yeah, I think we forget that we were, and I stress this all the time, we were spiritual beings before we were physical.
Hmm.
We were energy first, so it's really interesting how we forget that or we were never taught it. Like I wish they taught that in kindergarten. I mean,
Oh,
it would be so different. We would be in a
yeah.
different world for sure. So, and then what do you perceive is the deeper purpose behind energy work?
I personally feel as though the more people I see in my on my table that I work with, the more I feel balance just kind of within the entire space, whether that
Mhm.
be just my house. It relieves my
Yeah.
house a little bit, or it relieves the earth a little bit, or I
Yes.
feel like it really ties back to everybody being intertwined with energy. And I
Yes.
feel like every individual I see, it kind of heals their space as well as just them internally.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
Because I agree with you. It goes into my next question about collective healing, right? Where we're trying to sort of almost awaken like a global consciousness in a way by through energy work, right? And I
oh,
see more and
yes.
more practitioners nowadays, where it's, maybe 10 years ago it wasn't as in the mainstream where you could talk about it nice and easily
Yeah.
without people thinking you had like 15 heads on your shoulders. But now it's becoming a little bit more mainstream. And do you see that shift where you are? I don't know where you are in the country, but you could share that with us if you'd like, but
Yeah. So I've noticed a lot more people shifting to the holistic side of health and
yeah.
energy work and all of that. And I live in Idaho, so
Okay.
it's one of those states that a lot of people are very spiritual over here anyway. They're very religious and stuff, but it's very very nice to watch the space shift to being more understanding and more energy conscious
Yeah.
because then we all heal together. It's
Yeah.
like this big
Ab
rising.
absolutely, and you mentioned religious, so do you find, that the people that do practice some sort of religion, maybe not, spirituality, necessarily, but do you find that they're able to receive your information just as much as someone that might not, go to church or a synagogue?
I okay, so personally, it takes me a while to get to those people, basically.
Yeah.
So sometimes
Mm.
sometimes it takes a lot of work to break through that
Yeah.
field and allow my services to align with their needs and their wants.
Yes.
And I try not to make it about converting them to my space, if
Right.
that makes sense. I
Yes.
love that they can still be religious in their ways,
Yeah.
and that I can have my own being. I have seen my energy work heal those people as well, but it does take a little bit of extra time just because you
Yeah.
kind of have to break through that. Oh, energy work is maybe not my religion, or so.
Yes, yes, yes. I think they sometimes can have a sense of guilt, that they're working against their religious practices. I don't want to go too deep into this, but if they understand that they're both actually work together because it's all who we are. It's just working with the spirit or the soul, right?
Mhm.
That's what you're doing as a practitioner. You're working through Reiki, and foot zoning. I'll remember that forever now. You know, where you're working with their physical body, their spiritual, mental, and emotional bodies all at the same time, which is a beautiful thing. So, and if you had the opportunity to go back in time a little bit, what would you tell your younger healing self?
Yes. So I would specifically go back in time to my high school days where I was frustrated with those side effects of all the medications I was taking and just say, "Hey, look, in the future, you will feel this enlightenment. Like look at me
Mhm.
right now. I got this, you know." And
Yeah,
just kind of helping that younger version of me feel connected to me. And I already do that in my timeline and that kind of energy, but I think it would be so wonderful to be able to go back and just be able to feel that eventually I will learn all this and it'll all
yeah.
unfold the way it needs to.
Yeah, that's great. That's beautiful. Um, and I know through your practice and through your education, your experience, you've learned a lot, right? So you've learned, like you were saying, about yourself so you can assist your clients. But what message feels most alive for you when it comes to um, what you would want to share with someone that may want to try a session with you?
Yes, so usually a big message for me, especially lately, has just been to kind of let yourself let the energy in, let
Yeah.
yourself feel the different chakras, let yourself feel how cloudy your aura is. And I know not
Mhm.
everybody is intuitive the same way I am,
Yeah.
but it really transforms somebody's experience when they can feel themselves healing and
Yeah.
when it's not just me feeling it for them, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, totally. I was gonna say, do you offer your clients like a way to tap into their own intuition? Just out of curiosity, because I know not everyone is tapped into themselves, but do you offer them some sort of guidance with that, or how does it work?
Yeah. So frequently, once I get into the foot zoning part of my sessions, then I usually have a little bit more room to talk to them about what they're feeling. So when I'm tapped into one part of their body or one organ, I'll kind of guide them and tell them, "Hey, I am specifically working on your stomach right now, your IBS, your problems with digestion. I want you to take a minute and just solely feel your digestive tract and how that feels right now." And
Yeah,
sometimes it takes them a while to be able to feel that because obviously not everybody's very tapped into themselves, but seeing them be able to do that and being able to help them tap into that energy for themselves has been a big transformation for a lot of my clients and helping
yeah,
them learn to heal themselves too.
that's wonderful. That's wonderful. Do you find you have returning clients after they've conceived, like after they've actually started to incarnate a little being?
Yes. So the a client I saw a while back that was struggling with fertility and such actually came to me and said, "Hey, look, I have a baby in me now, and I've got this physical pain. I've got this huge like hormonal shift going on inside,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that's also hard to deal with. So how do I align my energy to deal with that part
yeah.
now? Instead of the grief and the sadness from the infertility."
Yeah, because it doesn't end. I mean, really, they're holding that being for 9 months, right? So it's like and then there's probably like, are you dealing with any postpartum or things of that nature?
I do handle postpartum clients as well, and I
Okay.
absolutely love my postpartum women. They
Okay.
because they're going from this huge like high in hormones to almost nothing, and their baby, while they're still out of the body and with them, it's a completely different energy than having that
Yeah.
baby kicking in your body, and it's almost a sense of grief for a lot of the women I handled. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Well, because it's sort of a death of a self, and then
Hmm.
you're creating a new chapter in your life by having this being now fully incarnated, and what's amazing, I was just reading this morning actually, is that mothers and children merge their cellular information through the lining, right,
Hmm.
of the uterus, and that stays with them for life, so
Yep.
it's just incredible how that really creates that sort of intuitive link, right, that neural network between the mother and the child that really, is very, strong, I'm sure, and powerful. Yeah,
Yeah. No, and
yeah,
like women can really keep that energy in their womb and in their bodies for a long time. They
yeah.
say it sticks around for probably about 10, 15 years in
Oh my
some
gosh.
cases.
Yeah,
So
yeah, that's incredible. Is there anything else you would like to share with, our viewers or our listeners?
I just would love to encourage the listeners to kind of tap into their energy field and kind of take a minute and try and either look up some kind of guided meditation or just something where they can tap into their happy place or where they can start feeling and aligning themselves as well.
Yeah. And Lisa, where's the best place for people to find you? Like, how would I find you if I was looking for you?
Yeah, so my Instagram is at madsensational_sensations. And it has all my website information. I do virtual help, so I am based in Idaho Falls, Idaho, but I do virtual energy work and virtual doula services as well. So they can find my website on my Instagram.
Great, great. And thank you for spending Sunday morning with me. I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was nice talking to you.
Yes, very nice talking to you as well.
Right. Take care and enjoy your career as a practitioner in the energy work arts. Thank you for joining me on Energy Work and Healing. If today's episode resonated with you, be sure to subscribe, share it with someone who might need it, and leave a review. Remember, your energy matters, and your healing helps heal the world. Here, we honor the path of blending spiritual integrity with practicality so you can walk empowered, aware, and aligned. Until next time, stay grounded, stay open, and keep listening to the wisdom found within.